G'day everyone, this is Jackson Milan, the Wealth Mentor, the co-founder and CEO of Aureus Financial.
Sam Panetta, the co-founder and COO of Aureus Financial.
And welcome to another episode of Enjoy the Journey podcast, episode 19, with a good friend of ours, Shane Black, the founder of Pearl Financial Group. How you doing, Shane?
Good, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Pumped to be here.
Mate, it's
on board, mate.
We've been trying to get into the show for a while. We've finally got you here, mates. You've
I've been trying to dodge you.
story of my life, Shane. Mate, we've known each other for quite a long while, and you've been on a pretty phenomenal journey, so it's good that we can dive into that today.
Yep.
Mate, so who is Shane Black, and who is Pearl, or what is Pearl Financial Group?
Yeah, perfect. So in a nutshell, I'm a husband to Hom, father to William. He's only 6 months old today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very good.
I'm the managing director of Pearl Finance Group, and pretty much we're an integrated financial services firm. So we help general white professionals and business owners accumulate more assets, generate more income, hopefully pay less tax, or whilst building their dream lifestyle.
Beautiful, mate. And we worked together many moons ago.
Yeah,
It was a while
7 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, time flies when you're having fun. We won't name and shame, but we were working together as part of an advisory team.
Yep.
And we've come a long way since then, haven't we?
Oh,
Shane?
definitely, 100%.
Did Jackson have a beard back then?
No, he didn't. He looked significantly younger.
Was he a different man without the
His
beard?
dress sense wasn't quite as refined as we currently see.
I'm like fine wine. I get better with age.
Better with age. I also tried to grow a beard because I remembered I was coming on the show with you guys. So better grow a beard. The only problem is I remembered yesterday, so this is the best I could muster up.
Oh,
We'll get you back on the
appreciate
show.
it.
We'll see your
In
progress.
6 months' time, we'll reschedule another podcast.
Be arrested on the way, and I think my son bit alarm.
That's exactly right, mate. So you've had a phenomenal journey. You've gone through many iterations throughout your career. So let's start back at the beginning, mate.
Yep.
So you started life or your kind of professional career in the police force, right?
Yeah, that's right. So back when I was living in Newcastle, I was actually doing Bachelor of Science at university, and I got about halfway through it, and I thought to myself, science sucks, really. I don't really enjoy it. You know?
So you as a science
And I was going, what am I going to do? Am I going to become a school teacher? What am I going to do? And I really couldn't see the flag on the hill at the end of the journey. So at the time I was playing rugby, and the team I was in, there was probably 7 or 8 police officers. And I was just speaking to this guy at training one day, and he's like, oh yeah, I just got back from 6 weeks leave. And I've only worked for 2 months, and I'm going to take another week's leave. I'm like, dude, what do you do? You know, and he's going, oh, I'm a police officer. And we work 4 days on, we have 6 days off, we get paid this amount per year, we've got 6 weeks leave, but blah, 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 blah. And I went, sounds amazing. And so I actually applied, and a couple of months later, it was just before an election. So they were actually looking for police officers. Applied at the perfect time. I got in at record time. It took me 2 months to get into the police.
So good.
Applied in March. I was down in Goulburn in May or something like that.
Wow.
So, and then I spent 7 years as a police officer. Yeah, I was actually just down the road here in Manly for 5 of them.
Yeah, okay.
And another 2 years up in Newcastle.
You would have seen a few things as a police officer.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. So I spent the majority of my time as a detective.
Okay.
So plain clothes, speaking to people who either have seen bad things, had bad things happen to them, or done bad things. So the interesting thing was, it was a lot of training around interviewing people. A lot of the stuff, it's Manly was for a while there. The Manly handshake was going down to the Stain on a Friday night and getting glassed in the face. That was the Manly handshake. So every Friday, Saturday night, we'd be getting called out for someone with some lacerations on their face. So
That's crazy.
that's definitely some life experience gained from the police.
Look, we've had a lot of clients that have been either in the police force or in the military, or all these positions where they're constantly in danger or in fear of something potentially happening or resolving something as a result of those types of incidents. It must have a big effect on you. Like you must carry something with you as a result of those experiences, right?
Yeah, I think I think enough times passed that I'm not. I hope I haven't gone crazy. Maybe I have. Maybe. If you go crazy, you're the last person to know, I think. But so yeah, it is a heavy job. You do see some heavy stuff.
Of course.
And some people it affects differently. And the way that I always dealt with it was that even though I was working in Manly and living in DY, it was just up the road, I'd always segregate. When I was at work, I was a police officer. But as soon as I got home, I was something else. So, you know, I was just Shane. I was just, you know, did my hobbies, but didn't think about policing at all. Sometimes it was hard because you go down the man on the weekend, you see the local crooks, and they're just, and it's like, hey man, how you doing? First name basis with the crooks because you were investigating them. Sure. but yeah, so you know, there's some heavy stuff, but like I said, it's more about life experience. And because I experienced it when I was so young, I think it's positioned me well moving forward to be able to say, well, you know, you sort of realise how precious life is and how some people just have it significantly tougher than others. So.
Yeah. Look, I think you hit on a good theme there, mate, and I strongly believe that life experience is worth a whole lot more than kind of book experience. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So I'm sure that would have taught you a lot. So what's kind of one of the most profound lessons that you've learned through your experiences as a detective?
So I remember it was my third day on the job. So literally, I can't remember the date. It would have been like January sometime. Third day on the job, and when you're in the police, you get assigned someone to teach you the ropes essentially. And I remember it was a day shift in Manly, and we got a call, and it was about a deceased male on just a hill in Manly. I can't remember what it's called, just off South Esplanade. Okay. And you know, instantly I thought it was going to be just an old dude, but we got there, and it was essentially a 42-year-old father of three had passed away after running 16 kilometres training for like a half marathon or something.
Jesus.
And for me, so early in my policing career, and I would have only been 19, 20 at the time, it was a timely reminder that, you know, we can't take life for granted, and we can't be always living for tomorrow, because stuff can happen today that takes it all away, and that therefore we've got to, you know, your little phrase there, Jacko, in terms of enjoy the journey. You've got to enjoy the journey because you never know when the journey's going to pull up stumps.
Mate, that's some insight, really. A lot of people, it just never ticks over to them in life, do you know what I mean?
No,
so I think you're really lucky at such a young age to get taught really critical life lessons.
That's right.
For some people, they're not essentially lucky enough to ever learn that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's right. No, exactly.
So what sort of took you to the end of that journey? When did you know that, you know, this isn't for me, there's something else that I want to pursue moving forward?
Yeah, great question. Because basically I enjoyed the aspect of policing in terms of helping people. Originally when I got into the police, I'd sort of done the Army Reserves just before it as well. So I was going to go to the police, I'm going to walk around with a gun, it's going to be really cool. Sick, you know. But then I kind of realised, I mean, that wasn't really what actually attracted me to it. It was about helping people, and the reality is in policing, when you're helping people, something either bad has happened to them, they're bleeding, or, you know, it's just a really negative experience. And so probably about 5 years in, I'd guess, just before I wrapped up at Manly, I sort of said, I can't do this long term. And again, it's just, I remember it was 2 a.m, night shift, and there was one of our sergeants. So a sergeant's a team leader, so he runs the whole team. He was sitting there and he was really frustrated. I can't remember what the job we'd been at, but it must have been, you know, pretty distressing. But he was just really frustrated, and he's like, yeah, this is, you know, am I allowed to swear on the podcast?
Go for it. Do all
this is fucked, this is that, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, he sort of got really down on himself. He said, yeah, but what else can I do? Like, I'm 45, been in the police for 25 years. I can't fucking leave. I've got a wife and kids, blah, blah, blah. And to me, that was the moment I said, right, I'm out of here as soon as I can. Because the reality is, if I go and try something else, I could always go back to policing. So for me, that was the end is nigh experience, where I said, you know, if I didn't want to be him. I didn't want to be 45 and felt like I was trapped by my profession. I wanted options.
There's so many people in life that are like that, whether it be in their career or in their financial situation.
Definitely.
I think this would be a good segue as well.
Yep.
People think it's too late. I can't start planning now. I've left it too late. I'm doomed, and they just kind of accept the reality of their situation. Which is sad. I think we see a lot of clients that are like that, and I'm sure you do as well, mate. So when you made that, you come to that realisation that the police isn't for you. What happened next?
So I transferred up to Newcastle. That's where I'm from originally. And that was a pretty sweet gig. But I was also studying at Newcastle University. So throughout the whole policing journey, I had been investing, saving, travelling, investing, so on and so forth. And I realised that was something I was really interested in. So I kind of married the two. I enjoy helping people, and I nerd out, I geek out on investments. how about I just combine the two? And then so I studied a Master of Applied Finance up at Newcastle University, and part of that was you get RG 146 accredited, which is what the base qualification for financial planning is. And then so once I'd done that, I pretty much took all my leave once I'd finished the Master of Applied Finance. Went to Columbia for a month, and then came back into the role at the unnamed finance institution where we met.
Yeah. I don't like the sound of that. I went to Columbia and then I came back into an unnamed financial institution. It sounds like you're doing something that you probably wouldn't have done in the
Well, let's just say season 4 of Narcos. Joking.
No, it was definitely legit. And obviously, together we went through a training academy to basically become seasoned advisors and go out into the world. So, and we of course did that for a few years. And now where we both are, we're both self-employed. We've created our own businesses. So obviously, throughout that journey, you obviously got to a point where you decided that working in corporate as an advisor wasn't for you.
Yeah, that's right.
So what was the realization there?
Yeah, I think that I always consider myself very fortunate to have been later on in life that I joined the profession. So I wasn't indoctrinated as a graduate. I didn't have any preconceived notions of what financial advice was. I just thought financial advice is about this. It's about helping people get them unstuck. It's about moving them forward, helping them achieve their lifestyle and financial goals. But then I got in, and then the corporatization of financial advice means that some aspects of it was about product sales, for example, and there was targets around certain things that I didn't agree with. And as I got experience in the corporate side of financial advice, there was more and more stuff that I wasn't agreeing with.
Sure. So
eventually, I was like, well, if you don't agree with something, then you need to do it your bloody self.
Yeah,
and
correct.
So that led me down the journey of becoming, starting a business, and that's slowly evolving over time as well.
I think our values are very closely aligned, mate. Like, it's funny, we catch up like every 3 to 6 months. We say, what are you doing in business? What are you working on?
It's always bloody similar.
It's very similar. Like, you must have a bug.
I was about to say, if you bugged my toilet, all my best thinking's in the toilet, so you've obviously bugged it.
We've heard a few things in Shane's toilet.
We're well off track.
We're digressing. But I think that we share the idea that our industry is fundamentally broken. Right?
It is,
and I think that financial services as a whole is about this kind of vertical integration. Under the guise of an advice relationship, there's this push of product.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's something that I've never agreed with. So at what point did you realise, obviously having that fresh perspective, the external perspective, obviously no products in policing.
You're
not selling
bullets.
You're only delivering services.
Telephone books.
Telephone books. So how long did it take you for the penny to finally drop to say, shit, this is not what I want to be doing as an advisor?
I think that the suspicion started quite early, but I actually moved around a bit. So where we started, I moved on to another financial institution, said this is no better. And then I moved on to another financial institution and said this is 10 times worse. And then that was it, where I literally got to the third one. And all big players, and I just went, well, no, this is, the penny dropped when, I was hearing about stuff that happened in the past and stuff that was happening while I was employed by that final institution, where I just didn't agree from a fundamentally moral and ethics perspective. And so that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. I just went, well, this isn't, I don't belong in the vertical integrated models.
Look, and this is super important, right? So I think there's going to be a few people who are sitting here watching this podcast and going, all right, Sam and Jackson, you guys own a financial services business. You've got Shane on here who also owns a financial services business. Why are you sitting down with a competitor and discussing this stuff? It's because we're fighting the same battle.
That's right.
Right? Exactly. All three of us are trying to do the same thing in this industry. Is we've looked at it, we've recognised that essentially everyone's taken the piss,
Yep.
and that there has to be change in the way that money is handled by these bigger institutions.
That's right.
And I'm glad to see it that, especially with guys our age, we're not the only ones doing it. Do you know what I mean? There's other guys who are looking at the people that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, and goes, "You guys essentially been raping and pillaging for a very long time. It's about time that financial services is done in a way that helps people instead of robbing people."
Exactly right. No, I agree 100%.
And it's one of those things that I think that something needs to give, right? And the scary thing, like, we've tried to do a lot of research into the adoption figures for people taking up advice. And I think the last figure was only 15% of the Australian population is actively seeking advice. Which just proves that there must be something wrong for a country that has so much wealth.
That's right.
And so much complexity in our financial and tax system. For these people not to seek advice, there has to be something wrong. So from your perspective, mate, I guess, what's your vision for the future of what you're trying to create with Pearl?
So it's, in a nutshell, it needs to be as much about education as it is about advice. So typically in the past, an advisor would draw up a plan, sit down and say, this is the perfect strategy. It's going to help you get to where you want to be. But the unfortunate thing is that plan didn't take into account human behaviour, because effectively we are notorious at sucking with money. It is from a behavioural finance perspective and a psychology perspective, we're not very rational. And it's been shown time and time again. And so I think that, the education piece needs to be there to be taught. So for people who aren't ready for an advice relationship or don't see the value in it, they can get educated. Then there needs to be a coaching aspect in terms of, like I said, we're not very rational creatures, and the best way to do that is have someone, a third party, just looking upon your behaviour and help you guide and just set some relevant posts in terms of bounds of activity or bounds of what you should be doing. So for us at Pearl, it's essentially marrying all those up, and it's saying that, for people who aren't ready for full-on advice, get educated. For people who are educated and they're trying and they're doing their best on the journey, but for whatever reason they keep coming unstuck, get coached. And for people who are educated, they're willing to get coached and they're looking for that more complex advice, then get advice. So for us, it's about combining it all to be able to help our clients on the journey, because typical advice is, let's wait until someone has a whole heap of money and then we'll advise them.
People will fall short of
That's right. And
what about the 95% of the country who doesn't have 7 figures sitting there ready to be invested?
100%. And that person there has probably got some very ingrained poor financial behaviours or beliefs that are going to be almost impossible to be able to correct. So they've got to, let's just use $1 million for example. They've got to $1 million and they believe they've got there, and whatever's got them there is going to continue in the future. But that might not necessarily be the case. What if that $1 million, had someone intervened 10, 15 years before, could have been $2 million?
Exactly right.
And so that's why we want to get involved earlier, just to set the boundaries and say that, by doing this, you're sabotaging yourself. By doing this, help yourself move forward. So
I think that's really important. Like, look at all of these other industries, in like sports is a fantastic analogy. All elite athletes have a coach.
Definitely.
I think we spoke about this before. Probably the only elite athlete that doesn't have a coach is Nick Kyrgios, right? He's too good for a coach. But everyone else does, right? You look at actors; they've got vocal coaches. They've got accent coaches. You look at business; there's business coaches, and that's, I guess, another subject that there's still not enough business owners that are seeking advice on that aspect. But it's definitely more than finance.
Most business owners are winging it. Really, most business owners are winging it.
That's right.
So what do you think is stopping these people from actively seeking advice or looking out for like a coach or educator? So I think it all boils down to being worried about being wrong, potentially being a bit overconfident, because in Australia we've got tall poppy syndrome. We don't want to be seen as trying to do too much, having too much, so on and so forth. But money's kind of like one of those subjects, or finance is one of those subjects where we feel like we should know it all. And if we don't admit that we know it all, then someone's going to go, oh, he doesn't know it all. I've got 3 master's degrees. I geek out in this stuff, and there's still stuff I don't know.
Correct.
The more you know, the more you realise you don't know. And for some people, it's just getting over that initial mindset where I don't need help, I know everything. And, it's just about realising that they don't need to fundamentally change who they are. They're not admitting that they're wrong or that they don't know everything or anything like that. It's just about helping them get to the next level. And you don't know what you don't know, right?
Correct.
So if someone comes in as an advisor, as a coach, as a consultant, whatever, they just introduce some stuff that's going to move them to the next level. Then I think it was Richard Feynman, who was a physicist, said that a mind expanded will never return to its former dimensions.
Yeah,
I may have bastardised that quote, but I think
you got it.
I think
we understood it.
The general message is
super important, mate. And look, I think that there's a couple of things there. People have been conditioned to feel like they can't fail.
Yeah.
And the first thing of admitting failure, they would prefer to lie to themselves and say that they haven't failed.
That's right.
And come to terms with it and learn from the experience and move forward.
That's right.
Like one of my mentors, Lisa Messenger, she said something that was really profound at an event that she did. She said, the best thing that I've done throughout my entire life is fail fast.
Yeah, that's right.
And all of it, like for example, she was talking about when she started the collective.
Yep.
She before she even put together the magazine, she went and pitched to people.
Yeah.
Say, would you, if I created this, would you give me cash in order to get it up and running?
Yeah.
And before she'd even, with just a concept, she was able to get backing from a big bank.
Yeah.
Get all of the backing that she required to launch the magazine without even putting in any work.
Yeah.
I think for most of us, we tend to do all the pre-work. Oh, well, we can't take this to market, or we can't do this until we've got all of this done.
Yeah.
And because of that, we're putting in all of this work, and we don't even know if it's actually going to work.
100%.
So I think that's that mentality that we need to overcome. So, mate, what do you think that we can do as advisors and coaches to try and help more people overcome this kind of tall poppy syndrome, or actually get them seeking advice?
Yeah, it's a challenge because, like you said, we are conditioned. Like you go to school and it's pass or fail. You play sports, it's win or lose. So we are conditioned to think that failing or losing is bad. When the reality is it's an amazing learning experience, and I've failed multiple times over and over again. But I think from an advisor perspective, to help people move forward, it's just to be able to be putting stuff out there to help educate the masses, so that not everyone's going to be ready yet. Not everyone's ready to talk to an advisor, but people like us, we've got some stuff up in our melons that if we just commit the paper, commit the video, commit the audio, that we can just put it out there so that people can get educated, understand a bit more, and just raise their own knowledge. Because like I said before, the more you know, the more you realise you don't know.
Sure.
So just getting them out of their comfort zone and getting people to realise that their small ecosystem of what they think they know could be so much bigger.
Mate, it's so important, and it strikes a chord with me. Before we started Aureus, right, over the past years, I've been investing, and I've done it okay for myself. And I've had friends and family and associates come up to me over time and said, we want to do better financially. What do you suggest? And I'll give them a book or something. I'll say, read this book. See them 6 months later, they never read the book. Well, that's self-sabotage, you know what I mean? If you want to do better at something, you need to put some sort of energy or effort into it to get any, some sort of return. And this ties in with something you said at lunch before, mate. You said that people are hardwired to suck at money, right? Can you delve into that a little bit more for me and tell me why people are hardwired to suck at money?
There is so many reasons that it's hard to put it all into one, but essentially our psychology and our approach to money fundamentally makes us suck at money. There's very few people who are born with an innate ability to grasp the concept of money because it's such an intangible. And the thing is that people see different sources of money as different. Because if we think about superannuation, we think of money in the bank, you have money in our wallet. If we think about a check, if we think about money under our bed, whatever it may be, people will allocate different value to the money. Even though $1 is $1, no matter where it is,
It's true.
people will say, the money in my wallet is there to be spent. The money in my super isn't really my money until I'm 65, which is ridiculous. The money that people assigning different values to money, and then there's also, I guess, the terms of all the different biases we fundamentally have that we're born with. So people will apply at larger weighting to recent events, thinking that those events are going to continue. So if we think about the property market in Australia, some places doubled between 2011 and 2017. People are buying in those areas thinking that's going to double again. But in reality, that's just what they call the recency effect. Yeah, that's right.
That's how it works.
So it's, and if you don't understand what your own shortcomings are in terms of, the first example I gave with the money being different is called mental accounting. The second example was recency effect. If you don't understand that those things exist, then you sort of just fall prey to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, the biggest one is overconfidence, where I was talking about before, where people are just too confident to admit what they don't know.
Yeah.
Or to admit they were wrong. And
Because they've had some wins, and a lot of it's attributed to luck, isn't it?
it is. Yeah, it is.
Like, I think we've seen a lot of people, and funnily enough, I see them on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yeah.
People bragging about all the success they had with Bitcoin.
Yes.
How many people do you hear talking
No
about
one,
Bitcoin now?
because everyone who bought since December last year has done their ass, so no one wants to talk about it anymore because everyone's losing money.
Yeah.
But on the way up, I remember going to picnics, to barbecues, to weddings. There'd be guys there who have never invested before, never done anything. They've put some cash into Bitcoin, and everyone's giving each other financial advice. Right. Sam, what do you think? I don't think fucking nothing about this conversation. Just leave me out of it. Do you know what I mean? And we witnessed it with our own eyes. I think with our generation, in our lifetimes, that was the biggest bubble that we've seen.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It was the biggest mania we've seen in finance.
But I think it's only exacerbated the problem, right?
Because
the thing about our generation is that the delay of gratification for us in every single transaction we have in our life is so short. So our ability to defer that gratification for 5 years to save a deposit, 10 years to be able to buy, build an investment portfolio, 15 years to buy a dream home is just unfathomable.
It is.
So when we were at a workshop on the weekend for Business Blueprint, there was a speaker there called Glenn Guerin, and sorry mate if I butchered your last name. He said people in today's day and age don't have a motivation problem. They have a vision problem.
That's right.
That they cannot paint a clear enough picture of what it is they're actually working towards to give them the motivation to pursue it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree, because there's two things that I call as SBS and SOS here. SBS is silver bullet syndrome, meaning that there's going to be one magical thing that's going to get you to somewhere where you haven't even clearly articulated. Right? Because that's an example. It is a vision problem. People don't take the time to sit down and then map out where they want to be. The thing that I say to all my clients is, they'll listen to me, I'll say, you basically need to become a reverse engineer. You need to map out where you want to be and reverse engineer the crap out of that to say, what do I need to do in the next 5 years to make that happen in 10? What do I need to do in the next 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 3 months, 1 week? Work backwards. But people are trying to work forward. You're on silver bullet syndrome. How good's cryptocurrency? It'll go up 300% in 7 days, and then they think that that's going to, they're going to be overnight millionaires. They get distracted. But the other one, SOS, is shiny object syndrome, where people can't stick to the strategy. They're distracted by shiny objects. I am a classic example of that in business, where I was just saying to you before, Jacko, I was like checking out my technology subscription. I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm paying for something I don't even know what it does. And I'm just like, and that's me falling victim to shiny object syndrome, where I'm just going, oh my God, how good would it be to track this stuff on my website? Subscribe, never use it, And then people will do that in their financial and personal lives, where they're going, well, this is where I want to be. They're taking the time to articulate it. But on the way, they're getting peppered with all these marketing messages, with all this crap in the news, and they're saying cryptocurrency, it's property, it's this and this, and this is the next big thing. This is don't do this because it's crap. I mean, they don't look at the fundamentals.
Correct. Mate, I agree with you 100%, except mine is ROS, Rusty Object Syndrome. I collect rusty Harley Davidsons.
You got Harley Davidsons,
They're old pieces of shit. They definitely distract me. So, no, I think that's phenomenal, mate. Look, I think that one of the biggest issues that we've tried to work out a way to combat this is that the education system isn't starting early enough to teach these fundamentals. Like, we learn about trigonometry, we learn about Pythagoras. When was the last time you used Pythagoras?
I didn't know
I used it this morning. I was parking, mate. I was like, A squared times C squared equals C squared, and I was reversing in.
Press the button on your ATM.
Yeah, that's right.
Automatically.
No, that's what I always say, that not understanding money and not getting educated on personal finance is actually the most selfish thing to do. Because if you don't have a grasp on the fundamentals and you're not improving your financial situation, how can you expect to help anyone outside yourself?
Correct.
So if you don't expand your knowledge there, it is literally the most selfish thing you can do, because you can't help your wife and kids, and you can't help them live the lifestyle. And that's your local community, those around you, your local network. Then what about even further out?
Right.
If you get in a position where you're so financially well off that you can practice some philanthropy and help people on the other side of the world that you've never even met, that is literally the most unselfish thing you can do.
Correct.
But to just sit there and not change and say it's not sexy, it's just fundamentally selfish.
I think it is, mate. And you look at philanthropy. You mentioned it, right?
Yep.
And some of the giving, or majority of the giving that's done in this world, is done by the richest people in the world, right?
That's
people
right.
that are billionaires 100 times over.
Yep.
And most people, especially as kids, right, in the lower and middle class, you're taught to think about the rich, and you're taught to think these greedy,
Negative.
fat, rich guys in their mansions, lonely in their suits.
Yep.
Well, you look at a rich list, right? You go to any rich list today and you look at these people, that's not what they are. Look how much that they've donated to the world and how much they've helped humanity.
Yeah, that's
Ask yourself, have I helped humanity as much as these guys?
That's right.
Do you know what I mean?
So it's kind of self-actualization, right?
Yeah.
That you have enough for yourself, that you have the freedom to be able to give back to others.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Exactly right. And these are other fundamentals that a lot of people don't learn.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people who, certain personality types that try and jump straight to the top of the pyramid.
Yes.
That they give away everything before they even take care of themselves.
Yep.
It's these things that we just need to reframe and re-educate.
That's right.
Even if it's just getting enough education so you don't get taken advantage of.
Yeah, exactly.
How many spruikers are there out there that are just selling crap that people don't need?
Yep.
Or is actually going to send them further into financial abyss than what they were already in?
That's right. Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
I'm sure you've seen some horror stories, mate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, particularly in the property space. It's very, very scary to see some of the stuff that goes on.
Yeah, well, that's right. That's right. The people who sort of, that's where the spruikers sort of play, isn't it? Really, because unregulated here in
correct.
Australia, there's in financial planning, for example, we're so highly regulated. And then you've got this unregulated space where all the spruikers go. So they're just selling whatever, the dream. About the fundamentals behind it, or they're selling one fine aspect of personal finance,
Exactly right.
ignoring everything else, and it's just kind of
And that's not how it works. You cannot buy this dream off the plan apartment in the top
That's
of
right.
Australia and your financial problems would be solved.
No, that's
no
right.
way. That's not how it works,
That's
mate.
right. Yeah.
So what's next for you, mate?
Good question. We've got a book in the horizon. We've got our own podcast launching in the near future.
We're going to have to go on, eh?
No, most definitely. One of the first guests.
It's that.
What else? We're just looking to build out some of our education resources for clients and just for the general community. One of our core beliefs is to educate people, and to do that we've got to be putting stuff out there to educate people. And so we've got a whole heap of stuff in the horizon. And really looking forward to it. It's the future is bright.
What's all about the book? What's the book about?
Yes.
Secret.
No, it's not really a secret. So the book is pretty much our framework for personal finance. Because I spoke about it before. I'm a big believer in systems and processes and frameworks. So if you haven't got a system or a process or a framework for every area of your finances, then you're leaving it up to you're leaving plenty of room for error. I can't remember who said it, but someone said that systems and processes are as reliable as people aren't. And so, what you want,
that's good.
I'll find out who it is. I can't remember. I'm probably butchering the quote again. But Shane, the quote butcher of Black, is my name. But the book is about distilling down each framework, system, or process for every area. So, cash flow management, your debt management or optimization, investing, the personal protection, setting up structures, estate planning, accumulating assets, generating income, all the good stuff.
Beautiful. So, mate, let's take a bit of a shift of pace here. Obviously, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you're an ambitious guy. So, what is the thing that you're working towards in business as an entrepreneur? What are you trying to create with Pearl Financial Group?
Yeah, no, great question. We want to be sort of forefront in the new age of financial advice. So we don't really want to be. I hate looking backwards because there was plenty of errors made, and the business models that are sprouted from that, I don't think make too much sense moving forward in the future. So we want an innovative firm that is there to serve people, to help them achieve their lifestyle and financial dreams, aspirations, wants and ambitions. and to support them through the journey. You know, we don't want anything to be transactional. We don't want to be there one-off. We want to be working with people in 10 years, and then for them to be ringing us and saying, "Just realised I'm a millionaire." That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so we'd love to be just creating the next generation of millionaires, or people who are just achieving whatever. That doesn't necessarily be a millionaire, but they're achieving whatever they want to have achieved in life. Whether that's travelling 4 times a year, like you said before, Sam. That's something that I try and do. So you just about building that dream lifestyle.
Beautiful. And obviously you've got a young family now, so
Yeah,
creating a lifestyle business is probably important for you.
Yeah, well, that's right. And so, you know, it's been a very emotional journey for me with my son coming along, because my father actually passed away when I was 9 months old.
Yeah.
And so when he came along, it was quite unexpected, but I had a bit of a moment. 4:30 a.m. You know, my wife had given birth at 12:30 a.m. And I was driving home, and all of a sudden this emotion just rushed over me. And I was like, you know, holy crap, you know, I wasn't much older than this kid when my father passed away. And then I remembered all the struggles that my mum went through. And so that actually tied back into our vision and what we wanted to achieve with our business. And basically, we wanted to create a business that allows me to live the lifestyle and to gain experiences with my family, create memories, then also do that for our clients.
That's a powerful motivator, mate.
It is.
The things like that, that's what gets you out of bed in the
Oh,
morning.
100%. And you know, if people took the time to sort of drill down and understand what their values were, more importantly, why their values are shaped like that. So for me, obviously, the untimely passing of my father and the family losing the home and all the runoff from that is a key driver of why I value travelling so much and why I love spending time with my family. Yeah, so it's a very powerful thing for people to do.
Definitely.
I think a lot of business owners overlook that. I think that I know that when I started my first business, and funnily enough, I started my first business when we were working
Yes,
together.
I remember it.
Shane bought a pair of pants from me.
It didn't fit.
And, they didn't fit.
His larger size was too small for the legs of thunder.
We went to do squats, tore the seams.
Yeah. I wear them as a pair of underwear.
Yeah, I love it.
I started that business out of necessity, trying to chase money. Because if you recall, at the time, the business went through a restructure.
Yeah.
And we all got punished.
Yep.
It was a necessity. I was chasing money.
Yep.
And the business ultimately failed because I wasn't passionate about it. It wasn't aligned with my values as a person.
Yep.
And going through various iterations of my entrepreneurial journey, I've always tried to, I guess, pay homage to that experience and always trying to align my purpose and my values with what it is that I was doing.
Yep.
And it's much more powerful to be on the journey with your clients as opposed to pointing in the direction that your
That's
clients
right.
should be going.
Yeah, exactly.
And it sounds like that's what you're doing.
Yeah, that's what I always say. You know, to the generation that we enjoy working with is purely because I'm in the trenches with them. You know, my first son was born 6 months ago. You know, we've got a couple of properties up our sleeve, but we're not that far in the journey that we don't remember the stress of settling on the property, trying to arrange finance, you know, all those stressful little stuff that happen. You know, so because I'm in the trenches with people, I'm on the journey with them. And in some areas I'm going to be slightly ahead, some areas I'm geeking out about, so I know a bit more. But it's all about enjoying the journey together and just going along.
And how much would that help in business? Because you understand every single step of the way what your clients are feeling, I guess.
Yep. Yeah, you know, we do our best to let them know what is ahead, but there's just some occasions where you can't articulate how you're going to feel. People react differently. So I'm pretty laid back. So when I get stressed, the building's on fire, you know? It's like, geez, get on here. Oh, hey, my leg's on fire. Yeah, that's when I get stressed. But for other people who are a bit more highly strung, they're going to get stressed a lot earlier.
Yeah.
So, you know, being on that journey and trying to articulate how they're going to feel at certain points and what they may experience and what's a good idea to be considering, what they should be doing. Here's stuff that you probably haven't thought of, but you should have. All these different things, it definitely helps. But, you know, they're all human.
Yeah.
So, mate, let's say we're 10 years in the future. Obviously, you've built Pearl to its potential. You've nurtured all these fantastic clients. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I reckon I'll still be doing the same or similar things. At the moment, because our business is still in its early stages, I'm doing a lot of it, but I'd love to build the team and to be able to bring people that share our values in. I'll still be serving people. I'll still be helping people. I genuinely enjoy it. It was what I enjoyed in the police. It's what I enjoy now. But it's just being able to serve and help people at a massive scale. So that's what we're working towards in the future, and sort of getting momentum and be able to help as many people as possible.
Fantastic, mate.
And how that is, I don't know exactly what it's going to look like in 10 years. I could be, I might be the world's greatest shoe cobbler in 10 years. I don't know. And
I can see you just cobbling shoes.
Yeah, but as long as I'm helping people,
Beautiful, mate.
Hard business to scale though, but we'll find a way.
Shoe cobbling.
Yeah.
You'll find a way, mate.
Maybe there'll be a robot by then that cobbles the shoes for you.
Yeah, you can just have a room full of robots just cobbling shoes.
Like, hey Alexa, cobble me some shoes.
We might not even wearing shoes in 10 years.
Exactly
So
right.
genetically.
We had a gentleman by the name of Scott Galathy on the thing the other day, and in 10 years we're all going to be robots anyway. So it doesn't.
We don't need
We'll
shoes.
just be like
that's
the
right.
Simpsons. You know those aliens that have got the heads of the people in like a fish tank.
We'll just
That's
sit
going to
home.
be us. We're just going to have floating brains in fish tanks.
Or we could just sit at home in our VR goggles, 450 kilos, and we've got this fit robot for our avatar just wandering around, and we're just like, you can just change the robot when you want to change. What's that? You want to change your appearance? You just, swap the head or something. Or...
Maybe you'll fit those pants, mate.
Yeah, that's right. That's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to pull those pants out of the closet. I'm going to have a size.
I've waited 15 years for this.
That's right.
We're way off topic.
We're
Sorry, I have a habit of doing that.
That's right, mate. That's so good. So,
Mate,
what's some of some advice that you give to our viewers? Obviously, from everything you've learned through all of your experience, what are some kind of pieces of gold that you'd share?
Yeah, number one is just understand what's important to you. What do you value? Why do you value it? Number two is just don't be scared to fail. Don't be scared to get stuff wrong occasionally. Because I get stuff wrong more than occasionally, but it helps me grow. It helps me learn. And then, third of all, don't be scared to ask for help. We're both advisors. We're all advisors, but I've got my own advisors in different areas. And asking for help isn't a sign of weakness. It's just a sign of strength because you're looking to get to that next level. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. Second best time is today. So people will just sit on their hands and say, I should do this, I should do that. Stop shooting all over yourself and bloody do something, That's
great. I love that, mate. So, on that point, who do you look for advice? This is something that we put a lot of value in. We did a video yesterday actually talking about this. So who do you look to for advice? Yeah,
I've got a vast range of people. So I've got a business coach, but then we've got informal mentor relationships, and then I have a mindset coach. I have all the different coaches for different areas of my life. So if there's something I'm struggling with, and I've got someone on the team who I can just reach out to and basically get help with. So it's not only formal coaching or advisory relationships, but it's also informal network relationships as well. Being able to surround yourself with other like-minded people where you can just pick up the phone and say, hey dude, I'm really struggling with this. What do you reckon is the best way forward? You can just get some absolute gold out of those relationships just by asking a simple question.
Beautiful. All right.
Mate, it's been a pleasure.
Phenomenal outcomes. I think that you really summed up the journey really well. We learn through experience. The only way that you get experience is through giving things a go and just being willing to fail, pick yourself up, dust yourself off and give it another crack.
That's right.
And mate, I'm really excited to see what guys like yourself can do in our industry over the next 10, 15, 20 years because it's ripe for change.
Yeah, that's right.
I think the Australian population and the global population really needs people like us that share our values, that are really actually trying to educate people to take control of things for themselves as opposed to trying to take the responsibility away from them. So,
that's right.
Mate, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks
It's
for being
been
on the
an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having
Now,
me.
if anyone wants to get in touch with you, how are they best to reach out?
It's best to send a carrier pigeon. But no, it's, in all honesty, check me out on LinkedIn. It's just Shane Black. And I think my LinkedIn URL was a bit cheeky. I went financial planner in Sydney. So I think I'm the only one of those. But or you can jump on my website too. I think it's shaneblack.me from memory.
We'll include the links in the description anyway.
Perfect. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, look, for anyone who's looking for insights into personal finance, advisory, coaching, feel free to reach out to Shane.
Yeah.
Mate, it's a pleasure. all the best in the journey, and
Thank you.
we look forward to having you on the podcast again.
And we're going on his podcast.
That's
go
right.
this way.
Yeah, that's right.
And we'll let the vicious circle continue.
That's right. The banter and the joys and
I
fun.
love it, mate. It's been good fun.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
mate.
good. Thank you, mate.
Until next time, stay classy.
Stay classy, San Diego. Thanks for another episode of Enjoy the Journey podcast, and we will catch you next time.
See you guys next week.